and us on time, so let's rock and roll, brother. I know that you had some agenda items, some things you wanted to cover. It's always a casual conversation between friends here,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean just Arjun and I. And it means everybody in the chat room. We're all friends. We're all part of this sales mastery momentum builder community, just like the LFG community with Arjun. At the end of the day, we are all in the same field doing the same work. And what we try to do is help all of us succeed. We are not competitors. We're all on the same team, trying to achieve the same thing and rowing in the same direction. So, my brother, just rock and roll.
It's good to see you, brother. I appreciate you always including me and stuff. Being part of Momentum Builder, the community itself, the events, everything you guys have done has been, I mean, it was a game changer for me in staying connected to people, meeting amazing industry professionals that I didn't otherwise have access to or proximity to. And then you find, kind of in the spirit of what we were talking about earlier with energy, like the energy of people that are part of this community is all great. Like these are some of the best friends I have in the industry and just also, in life. So I appreciate everything you do, brother, and always being so inclusive. It means a lot.
I appreciate it, man. And Don and I set out on this mission, and we didn't, just this is kind of just a life lesson. It's like when you start with a concept or an idea, you never know where it's going to lead to. You never know where it's going to go. You never know how if it's going to work or it's not going to work. But if you have faith in what you're doing and you're doing it for the right reasons and you're doing it for others, it all just seems to work out.
That that's it, man. So true.
So, it's interesting. I was asking Sonia right before we started. I said, "Gosh, what's our Zoom's topic?" Because we've talked about. Actually, I'm going to back up before we get into that. You'll appreciate this.
Hmm.
Hopefully, some of you on this call can actually apply this. We are changing our approach and maybe this will give you some fuel. We are changing our approach on our team. For a very long time, we were a family. We're a family. We're a family. We're a family. And then we realized recently that that was a problem because families allow for somebody to be a drug addict, allow for somebody to go to jail. You have to accept those people in your life no matter what because they're your family. So talk about inclusivity, you have to include them no matter what. And then in this market, allowing those people to be around you brings you down.
Hmm.
So we made a shift and you can relate to this. We are now a competitive sports team. We
I
have
like it.
we have a coach, which is Don and I, right? We call the plays, we draft the plays. We,
Yeah.
we tell you when practice is, we expect you there. We expect you to improve at your craft during the practice, and we expect you to
Hmm.
show up on game day. And those that are not willing to do that, it's okay. You can go play for another team or move down to the minor leagues. And that's the approach that we're taking right now. And since we started to do that, man, it is a different vibe. It is a different feeling. It's like, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you find out right away who's not willing to do what it takes.
Right. You do. You do, but I like that. That's a talk. Speaking of rebrands, right? I like it.
Yeah, and again, nothing wrong with family. I got one of those. I got one of those. I got people that are messed up in my family. Shit, sometimes I'm the one that's messed up in my family.
Most of the time it comes back to us. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, for what it takes to win, and I meant to set the stage for you and frame it this way for you, is that what is it gonna take to win? This is what we're doing to win. What are you seeing that it's gonna take to win this year?
I think it's the first thing is that everybody has to wake up. If you haven't been paying attention, I want to use what's happened with Rocket because this is out the head of this is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. It's been dominating the news cycle. What Rocket did, if you weren't paying attention, should be considered a like hostile move for all of us as individual originators, or we work for mortgage banks or brokers, right? But above all, what it's really prompting us to all do is wake up. I'm going to use the Uber and the taxi cab industry as an example, but also a story that I specifically remember here in San Francisco years and years ago when Uber was kind of making its mark here. They kind of first started off as just a black car service. Like if you were getting an Uber, it was always the black car, and it wasn't a Uber X. It wasn't getting into the Prius then took over. Everyone's Prius was the Uber vehicle, and then it just turned into everyday cars. But if we look back, there was audacity and arrogance that leveled the taxi cab industry. They got complacent. The consumer experience had turned to shit, and entrepreneurs saw that as an opportunity to pounce on it and said, we can completely throw that thing upside down and change it. And they did. What did the taxi cab industry do? Like, if we could all go back and tell them, like, if you were being hired, you know, Yellow Cab of America, let's just say there was one national company, hires you, Gino, and says, we need you to consult us with how we're going to navigate this. We are being disrupted. How do we fight back? That I love that question, or that like hypothetical. Because what would you tell them? I mean, the one thing is that you play your strengths. And what strength did a cab driver or a cab experience have that could never be duplicated by Uber? And that was the sense of direction. When you gave the driver the cross streets and the direction, they knew these towns and the markets they're in like the back of their hand, right? Like you always see it if you think back to movies or films of like somebody getting in a cab in New York. Take me to Church and Murray. Boom, they're gone. They know where it is. They even know what direction the numbers go up or down. They don't rely on GPS. They just know. They know the alleyways to take, the secrets. If you're like, get me there fast, they'll know, right? You remember that, Gino? Nobody gets in a cab anymore, so everyone knows it.
I'm laughing a little bit because I think what you're alluding to is that they were a hyper local expert.
Mm-hmm.
And you
They were.
every,
They just knew.
you every inch of everything. And so there was no room for error. There was no generalist. Every one of them was a specialist.
Yeah, they
And
totally were.
so when you
Yeah, they were masters of the craft,
yeah,
right? And I remember walking out in front of the Bank of America building here. So it was a few blocks away from where I'm standing right now. And cabs line up outside because they're generally catching people there to get them to commute to other parts of the city or take people to the airport because they know a lot of business bankers would come in. This is the big, before the Salesforce Tower, this was the tallest building in San Francisco. It's where Lehman Brothers was. Bank of America was headquartered in there. Like, obviously lots of people there. And I remember this cab driver sticking his head out the window just saying, "Hey, don't ever use Uber. Don't get an Uber. That's a piece of shit company, and they're going to be sued, and it won't matter. Continue to use taxis." He was being an advocate for his group. But I looked at him, and as I watched, because I wasn't looking for a cab, I just walked right in front of his car, and he stuck his head out the side because he was waiting to pick up people. And he tells me this, and I thought, okay, I mean, it's a little bit of he's being a little bit of a hater, and it's also being a little bit reactive. But this was his response, right? As an individual driver for his industry being threatened, he says, don't use it. It's shit. I think as mortgage advisors and people within this industry, that type of a response to what Rocket is doing and other companies will do, guys, this is only the beginning of disruption, right? We see it in waves. It continues to happen. Is to say, oh, that's going to be a shit experience, like who wants to use an AI powered platform or be at a one stop shop? The reality is a lot of people do. Like I do. I want to be at a one stop shop. I don't want to hand over paperwork and dig up stuff. If I can enter in a few key things, shop for my house, make the offer, close on my loan, use an online escrow service, and have my loan serviced by the same place, what is not to love if we're all really honest about it? Right? So don't hate on it, but actually use it as an opportunity to level up. Play your strengths like the taxi cab driver could have, right? Or the industry if you were being hired. So think of that in looking back on like what could the cab industry have done to maybe survive? Maybe there was no shot. But I always like to play the hypothetical because at least it forces you to level up and kind of get back in there and retool, rebrand, if you will, play your strengths, get better, get stronger, and find out what's complementary. There's always going to be people that are going to opt for this type of a model, and we will see more and more of them. And they've already been there to a large extent, right? And it's a fantastic experience for those that it applies to. But if we wake up and also get very serious about what our strengths are, what we bring, the hyper local expert, like you said, Gino, the knowing our markets, knowing our niche better than any other platform could. You don't have to hate. You can just play up your strengths and create that separation because there'll always be a market for what we have to do. But sitting silent, being quiet, or hating on it, or saying it's all bullshit or garbage, even if it was, that kind of negative energy towards it, or like, rather than being introspective and looking at how you can get better, I think that's the wrong approach. So that's how I'm seeing it. That's how I'm imploring everyone else to see it. But I wanted to start there because that's been what's going on right now, right? Like that we're all being confronted by that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my frustration with our industry right now is the consumer experience. I think it's terrible.
Terrible. It's
Terrible.
terrible.
Not
It's
even it's terrible. It's not even bad. It's terrible. And
no, it's garbage.
it's our response, even though we're damn good at what we do, and it's still terrible.
Yeah.
So and so I'm like, why can't we find a way as an industry to improve. And I'm working on a project. I was on a call today talking to the gentleman helping me with it. And I told him exactly that. I said, listen, people don't compare the experience they have on a mortgage to another experience they had on a mortgage. So they don't know, right? And if 42% of your clients are first time home buyers, they have no idea. So you know how shameful it is? You know who they're comparing you to? Amazon.
Mm,
How we look compared to Amazon? It's like we're like not even in the same ballpark. And the word, I just said this yesterday at a keynote that I gave. The word is what makes Amazon special is reliability. You push the button, and 48 hours later, it's at your door.
unreal.
You don't even
Yep.
think about it. It's just
Hmm.
unconscious. So that's where we need to get. How do we provide a reliable experience that you can count on? If
Yeah,
we do that, so focus your entire world around reliability. And if you're reliable, you will always have a viable business.
totally.
So for me,
Yeah.
it's that. And what does that mean? Then now there's all the word of electronic applications, AI this, AI that, AI this. And I have another saying too, which if Katie's on, you still don't have my flyer for me because this is supposed to go on my Instagram. But human plus machine wins.
Hmm.
Alone, neither one can do the job, but
Totally.
together we win. And so
100%.
I'm trying to incorporate AI into our ecosystem as much as possible in the areas that humans are weak.
Mm,
Consistency, follow up,
right.
right? Even post close. So to receive a call 15 days post close, even if it's from a machine, it's still better than no call,
Totally.
right? So,
Yeah.
so and the
Just
machines
making
are
the
great.
experience better.
During
No,
this
we did the
process.
same thing.
During
We're looking inward also. You know, we're looking at our whole experience as a team. I encourage everybody who's on here, whether you're a solo operator or you're part of a team, you're part of a big group, if you're a part in the machine or you are the machine, just get back in and maniacally look at and evaluate what is the consumer experience like working with me, be very, very honest about it. And where can I make some tweaks? We're not going to ever be able to replicate what Rocket's doing, right? You're not. And nor should you want to, because it's different. What they're creating in the way of an experience is different from what all of us as individual advisors that have certain niches are trying to do. So to compare the two is actually a fool's errand. But you can use this again as a wake up call to improve things. I guarantee you there's some stuff requiring no technology, or huge resources of just things to pay better attention to, in which you can make the experience more reliable, as Gino said, and just better overall. Start there, because if you're doing that constantly and trying to make things better, I mean, how did Amazon get so reliable? They were maniacal about the same thing. How do we make the experience better? Let's make it better. Let's make it better. They never stop. Everything you can think of now that's cool that Amazon does a few short years ago was not, but they listened, they maniacally tweaked, and they just keep making it better and better. So as an industry, we should be trying to do the same thing, relatively speaking, with our consumer experience, because that's how we'll build a lot more loyalty. That's how you'll stay relevant. You'll always have a job and nothing can replace you. But business as usual and just kind of sitting back and sticking to old school fundamentals, or hating on what's happening around you and saying, oh, that's all garbage. It'll never work. Nothing can replace me. I'm the best. I'm a human. No, we have to actually get better. So use it as a chance to level up.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I'm very introspective about this. And then something the other day, somebody told me they're like, and they sighed when they said they're like, "You're impossible to please, Gino." And I said, "Thank you." And they
Was
go,
this your wife? Was this your wife, Gino? Who said
"It's an employee," uh, and I said, "Thank you." And they're like, "Why would you say thank you to that?" I didn't mean it as a compliment. I said it is a compliment because that means I'm always striving for better. That means I believe you're better than you think you are. That means I want to raise the bar every single day. And when we hit a target, I'm going to move the target. Like
Hmm.
that's what the 1% does. And so
Yeah.
now sometimes it is disappointing and sometimes it is difficult to have that approach to life. And sometimes you're like, is everybody around me suck and I'm the only person that so like that creates different feelings when you have that level that you're trying to create. But if you have that level and that insatiable appetite for improvement, you'll succeed in life. You just
Hmm.
will. You
You
can't.
will.
And when you have those moments that are hard, where you feel like no one's with you and you're by yourself, just remind yourself, if I'm one of the 1%, 99% won't understand me.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to
Very
feel,
true.
it's okay
Very
to feel
true.
alone if you're an entrepreneur. Uh,
Yep.
I know nothing about marketing, like almost zero. And during this process with Sales Mastery, Sonia could tell you, for 6 or 8 weeks, I was in charge of marketing. Right, that's the founder's curse. Right, it's like, hey, our marketing person checked out. We need a marketing person. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. Uh,
Yeah.
and Sonia's like, oh no, not Gino in charge of marketing.
Yeah.
It's not usually that
The
high.
wrong guy.
Well,
The wrong
but
guy.
look, it's easy. You choose some metrics. It doesn't matter what the task is. The process is the same.
Yeah.
Look at the goal you're trying to achieve. You figure out what tasks need to be done to get there. Who's the best person or machine that you have to do that task, and then hold somebody accountable for execution. Like that's just the formula for achieving anything.
Yeah. And right now, I think the the thing that's most incumbent upon us and what's so critical, and I want everyone to make note of this, is your ability to survive and thrive in a very volatile and crazy time like we're in now. And it's a massive opportunity. Nobody should be scared from this. You should be seeing all this chaos as a huge opportunity and just doing this and say, okay, where do I attack this? Like if that's your attitude, but you maybe don't know where to start, then you're on the right path. And if you're not there, then you need to get there. But our ability to quickly and efficiently discern, translate, and present information back is going to be the difference between winning and losing now. Things are happening too fast. You need to be able to absorb what's going on, explain it to people after it's been translated, and then present it, market it. Use social media, whether that's your marketing avenue. If you're more of an email person, whatever it is, the more you're doing this, the more we will all create authority and the more you'll become indispensable because authorities that are trusted and known and recognized are indispensable. We need them. I need your logic, Gino. I need to hear from you on this because you've trained me that every time there's a crazy headline or every time there's a crazy world or geopolitical or national or fiscal or economic event, you translate it. So I'm reading the headline, which I know is designed to make me scared. I know it's designed to make me lose my shit and want to sell my house. How many people got calls from clients last week that said, should I sell my house? I had a few calls from some clients that were just panicking simply because the market was crashing. And I said, well, I told the guy, like, well, where are you going to go? He says, I don't know. I said, you don't need to go anywhere. Like, stop panicking, man. That's your house. Like, stay there. Are you planning on leaving or retiring anytime soon? He's like, no, well, turn off the news and just stay there. But this is how reactive people are. So we have to, and if left to their own devices, they will make poor decisions. Like if that guy had reached out to him, hopefully would have called somebody else because we've known each other a long time. Someone would have talked him out of it. But he was crazy enough to want to think that maybe it's a good idea to sell his house and run for the hills with no shelter. Like that's how quickly he was willing to abandon what he has because he was afraid. So everyone is afraid. Everyone is confused. There's a lot of chaos right now. This is the best opportunity to create authority that we've had in as long as I can since COVID. This is it right now. So if you want to start and create separation as a mortgage individual or mortgage professional, discern, translate, and present. Write it down. Discern, translate, present. Read the news, absorb it, translate it. What does this mean for you? Here's why you should give a shit. Here's why you should care. Here's what this actually means. Or here's why you should be scared. Maybe. Okay? Translate it and then present. That's it. Those three things. That is what we need to be doing. That wasn't the three strategies that I wanted to share today. This was just something I've thought of that everyone needs to be hyper aware of. You could take that mindset now, and I'm going to share whenever Gino is ready. I know because he might have some follow up there or something to chime in on. The three actual strategies I'm using online that I used in 2024 and I've doubled down on for 2025. I want everyone to have the same playbook. So I'll share that with you with some examples. But Gino, anything to add there on that, what I just shared?
Yeah, that was a mic drop moment right there. I was like, damn, I wish he would have held that to the end. So now you're gonna have to. I hope you have another one in you.
We can
Uh,
always find one, man. We can
yeah, I
always
was gonna
find
say
one.
I'm gonna clip that one. That's I was watching it and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is a clip right now. I got a reel coming off of that one. But I wanted to talk just before we jump into that. Now you touched on one of the most important things in life is fear.
Hmm.
Like that is such a human condition. And if we learn to be our clients, I don't want to use the word psychologist, but the person they rely on to eliminate that fear,
Hmm.
that's valuable. That means you are a person of value in their life. That means that you've consistently brought them peace, that you've consistently brought them value if they trust you in a moment of fear. So that's what I'm thinking about right now with based on what you said. And I'm like, all right, so you want to do those three things so that, and yesterday it's funny, Neil Weichel spoke at our event yesterday, and he says transparency is important.
Mm-hmm.
And the things, all these common threads is, as much as we want to use AI as a tool, and it is, the things that are important to us as humans is when you're more, the beautiful thing about what's happened in the last couple of generations is this authenticity movement. This, it's okay to be fragile. It's okay to be vulnerable. Those are
Mm-hmm.
realities in life. Tell a story about being sick. Tell a story about what happened to your family. Tell a story about that's real life. People can relate to that. So be relatable. And if you do all
Yeah.
those, then people can trust you to calm them in a time of fear. And listen, Craig Davis said it on a training coaching call that I was on yesterday. I think it was
Yeah.
yesterday. Any?
Tuesday.
Oh yeah, you were on it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he was talking
Great
about
call.
the saber-toothed tiger, right?
Yeah.
Right. Our
Yeah.
this is a hormonal reaction we have. That gentleman that you were talking about was flooded with cortisol, absolutely flooded with cortisol, right? And then the body gets fearful, you tense up, and then you want to react.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing to do when you have to do that is to not react. Cool down. Think straight. Ask
That's
for
it.
advice. Thank God that guy called you, Arjun. I'm happy he did because he could have made a really bad decision.
He could have. It would have created some inventory and a listing agent and a buyer agent would have been happy.
Bad
So
for him, good
that's
for
the
us.
other side. It would have been the other side of it. But yeah, point is, guys, that people are afraid of stuff. So you better seize this. Like I'm telling you, a lot of mortgage individuals will take what's going to happen over the course of the rest of this year, all the way up until the midterms, right? Because this isn't to get political. This is just being very realistic. There's an agenda in place, whether you agree with it or not, and it has to move very quickly in
Yes.
order to create success by the midterm. Because if it doesn't, then it's all for nothing. That's what the administration is doing. So if you don't think that the roller coaster ride is going to continue, you've been watching these last couple of weeks. This has been a master class in just paying attention and then doing what I told you, right? Discern, translate, and present right back. This will be the chance where you can create massive separation from the people you compete against. All of us as individual mortgage professionals can help all of our referral sources with doing the same thing, right? Take what I just shared with you right there, guys, and present it. Like, take that right there to your realtor meetings or your wealth advisor meetings and tell them that their ability to discern, translate, and present is what's going to keep them in business or not. Help them, work together with them, collaborate right now. Pick the people that you want to be on the boat with that's going to come out the other side great, however long that's going to take, and work together on this stuff because it's a massive, massive opportunity right now for all of us. Sitting back and being quiet and either hating or withdrawing or I'm going to wait this out. It's too crazy. I got to wait this out. Let me just get some other stuff done is not the right approach. Everybody go on offense right now and seize this as a moment or as an opportunity because if you do, Gino and I'll come back and do this again. I'm fortunate to be able to frequent and visit here with this community, and I love it. Like I said, we'll come back in a year, Gino, and let's talk about it again. I'm like, how many people remember that call? How many people were doing it? And I guarantee you, the chat will light up with people that were saying business is in a totally different spot. Rates might even go a full point higher, guys, but you will say, I'm killing it right now. I'm helping so many people because I've been able to be seen as that, as our good friend Rene Rodriguez says, right? Like being the lighthouse through that storm. People came to me and saw me as this authority. I presented calm. I was able to quell their fears. And I'm just, I'm a resource now. They can't not tune into me. That's what I want for everybody. So everyone just double down on that. And then if you're ready to, Gino, I'll get into these three actual social media strategies of what I'm doing that everyone can apply, whether it's on a certain platform or if you're doing it in the form of email or TV, whether it's American, whatever it is, like I can share it.
Let's jump right in, man.
All
Jump
right,
right in.
let's do it. So,
We're
guys,
already on the golden nuggets. I want to make sure that we have enough time for you to get through that stuff.
yeah, absolutely, guys, and please drop in the chat, guys, that that this is helpful or not, and then also any direction you want this to go into, because Gino knows me well. He can steer me like a dog in whatever direction he needs me to go in, because this is all for you guys. It's all for all of us. We're all on the same team, and that's why I love this community, is because everyone here is all fighting the same fight. I'm in the trenches just like you guys are, as a service provider and an advisor. So I'm doing the same things, facing the same challenges. So I've tried over the last 6 years very different content styles or different niches, and I'm always trying to evolve with it. And in terms of forums or formats, you can use whatever you want. So this is very open, but specifically the three strategies that I am doubling down on that worked really well for me in terms of what kind of social media content to do. And again, you can translate this into email or whatever. Maybe it's in your, this could also be, if you are an office person, I only love to do office meetings. I have no website, no social presence. I just get brought into offices and I talk to groups of 30 or 40, all the agents or all the wealth advisors or whatever. Fine. You can still apply this the same way. There is number one, the one style that played very big for me in 2024. I'm doing much of it again right now is community marketing. So everyone just make a note of that. Community marketing is number one. Be like as Jeff, our friend Jeff Zimpler says, 5 Mile Famous. Be the digital mayor of your town, as Gary Vee says. Double down on the area that's your niche. Go into the bakeries, the coffee shops. Take your phone out and talk about what you love about these areas, the neighborhoods, the streets, or again, you can recite it. If you're talking live to people and you don't want to do anything on video, talk about. I was just on a walk the other day in my neighborhood, and Bob's Deli that I've been frequenting for years. I just love going in there because I feel like business has really come back for them after going through a hard time. You're being a good steward of your community by saying that. You're not selling anything, you're sharing, and you're giving Bob a shout out. What do you think Bob's going to do when he finds this out, right? Now, if you do it on social, which is what I want to try and urge and impress upon people to do. I take my phone out, I'll talk about a certain business or place and how much I love it, just genuinely. I'm not doing it because I want to get a refinance candidate out of it or I need a new home purchase person. I'm doing it because I care about the deli or the coffee shop. But because I tag him in it, and every business has a social media presence. Bob may not be managing his Instagram account, his daughter might be doing it for him, or an intern in there. She's going to see the tag, she'll share it. Now I'm just getting naturally exposed organically to their audience. And if people are doing this, what's not to like or respect about that? Community marketing led to the biggest mortgage I did one of the biggest I did in 2024, but it also gave me a referral that I was able to give out to one of my agent partners, which put me in command of the relationship. And it was a $4 million purchase. So if you didn't think that brought me some respect with the agent partner when I called, I mean, they didn't believe me. When I said I have a $4 million buyer that's ready to go, I know you are the mayor of this area and this is the area they want to be in. I thought of no one else. I want to refer them to you. The phone was silent for a few minutes. She thought it was a joke because what lender calls up a realtor? But I'm that guy that will do that because I do active community marketing. I shouted out a business. It was a gym at this time. They had splash pads outside. It was a hot summer day. I'm like, this is so cool. Look at this gym, what they're doing. I tagged the business in it. The owner of the gym and his wife sent me a DM a few days later saying, hey, thanks for that. Here's a free pass on us. That was really cool of you. They started following me. They have 3 kids. They needed to upgrade their house. For a year, they followed me and eventually said, you know what? We love your mortgage content and your advice and guidance. Can you help us? I'm like, sure. Qualified them. They were looking for a $4 million house. They put down 50%. It was a $2 million mortgage. Not bad. Everything worked out great. Community marketing. So guys, number one, be the digital mayor. Second one, storytelling. Nothing draws people in like stories. Gino and Don were both at the event, and some of you guys here were. I know Kai was, a number of others at the launch of our LFG Society event in San Francisco a few years ago. The opening speaker was Kyle Scott, who talked about the power of storytelling, right? And for those of you that are in this society, like it's worth a rewatch. You have access to it. But that was such a powerful opening because storytelling draws people in. It's how people relate. Nobody wants to, and it's proof over the promise, right? Like you're actually showing some actual tangible proof of I did this for someone or I helped this person with that. So please tell more stories about the clients you've helped, how you've helped them consolidate debt. Don't just talk about a debt consolidation product and how it works. Tell me the story of how a family now has cut out $1,800 in outflows that they're able to redirect and take care of things or potentially pay off their house because then people can relate and it's real and it's something you did. And if you haven't had a story worth telling in terms of a closed transaction, guys, in recent months, go back to last year. Go back to 5 years ago. Go back to your first client. It's your client. It really happened. It doesn't matter when it happened. It's still a story to be told. So go back into that memory bank and dig in and think about the stories with some of these past clients because that's the proof right there and the concept of what you did and how you helped, but it draws people in. I tell agents, don't tell me because agents are notorious for this, right? Because it's lazy marketing. It's not because they are lazy. They're being lazy with the marketing. Some of them might be actually lazy too, but they will say, I just sold this. I just we just sold this or just closed on this. I don't care about that. Everyone can sell a house. Everybody's closing stuff. You're not that special, right? And now Rocket's trying to prove that you don't even need them. They'll do it for you. So no one is that cool, right? It doesn't tell me anything about me. Instead, tell me about how you helped the single mom who was going through a nasty divorce stay in this neighborhood so that she didn't have to pull her kid out of that school and force them to make new friends. Tell me that story instead of just sold. Tell me about the person. Make them the hero, not you. When I say I just sold this or I just closed this or I'm doing this much in mortgage volume, which is great. Don't get me wrong, guys. We need ethos and credibility. You're trying to make yourself the hero. So put the spotlight on the other people. Storytelling is a very, very effective way of doing that. Is this making sense, everybody? Do I
And
have
I
a
want to stay right there for
please
2 seconds, bro, because
go,
one thing
Gino?
is important again, humanity is important,
Yes.
right? Because think about storytelling is the most ancient form of community that we have. What would people do? Like, imagine, go back to caveman days, go back to biblical days, go back to any of those times, and what did people do? Or go back to tribes and look at Indian tribes. They lit a fire, they sat around a fire,
Hmm.
they shared food, and they told stories. That's what humans do. It's conditioned inside of our DNA to tell stories.
Yes.
So that's a super powerful thing. That's how we translate. You tell your kids stories, you tell jokes, you tell stories about your great grandfather. We tell stories. That's what we do. That's what we as humans do. So when you hear things as a story, you take it as truth.
Hmm.
Automatically, you take it as truth. You hear a story, you take it as truth.
Yeah.
You hear somebody say something else, it's they're selling something, the guard goes up.
Yeah.
But when you hear the story, then you believe it to be true.
Yep.
So I think the
Absolutely.
power of storytelling is because it's the most ancient tool we have in our arsenal as humans.
You said it perfectly, Gino. It's part of every human being's DNA. There's an innate desire to have sense of community, tell stories, come together like this, and nothing does that better than actual storytelling. Lynette asked, and I want to make sure if there's ever a question that pops up, and guys, please use the chat for that. If there's a question that comes to you or you feel moved by something, don't wait until the end. Drop it in there now so you don't forget, and we'll weave it into this. But my preferred social platform is Instagram because that's where I spend the most time. For most people, it should be the platform that you actually spend the most time on because you're on it and you understand the user experience. Therefore, you want to turn that around and start presenting or creating content and pushing out things there because then you understand both sides of it. So, Instagram for me, for a variety of reasons, a lot of people are very big on LinkedIn. Some are huge Facebook, some are TikTok. They're all fantastic and amazing. If I could implore everyone to dabble with all of them for a bit, do it. If you've got your preferred, double down on it and use it. But yes, Instagram for me. And let me move on to the third one, guys, and then we can kind of circle back and recap on any of this, Gino. So first was community marketing, second storytelling. The last one, and this is the most important now, it kind of ties into what I told you guys about with discerning, translating, and presenting, is called news hacking. Hacking the news. You don't need to come up with any ideas of what to talk about or what to present. I'm being invited to speak to these agents next week on Monday. What am I going to talk about? You don't need to think of anything. Just open up the news and take all the headlines of all the negativity and go into that meeting and translate what it means. Hack the news because if we sit silent and we let the whether it's the legacy media or whatever form of media control the narrative, consumers are all going to be like my buddy that called me last Friday and rot with panic and make crazy irrational decisions which we don't want them making. It's our job to keep people calm, right? It's our job to prevent any sort of movement in housing that is unnatural with a bunch of people selling unnecessarily or doing crazy things or pulling out their equity to buy stupid stuff, right? So get in and actually think about what's actually happening. And if you pull up the news, all of it's out there. If you let the media control the narrative, then it's no wonder why clients are confused. It's no wonder why someone doesn't see the opportunity. It's no wonder why they want to wait until next year. And you're thinking, why? Well, we didn't do a good enough job speaking up. So take that news, intercept it, and answer the question. Here's why you should care, or here's what this means for you. Here's why you should give a shit, and present it to them. And again, you do this news hacking enough, and it should be part of your routine every week. For some every day. There's no shortage of it. You could literally fill up your pipeline calendar, have endless content in terms of what you're actually putting out by just news hacking alone. But those are the three: news hacking, community marketing, and storytelling. Please, please, please do these things, guys. I've done them. It's what's keeping me relevant in my market. It's giving me more opportunities. It's helping me break down barriers. Bringing in business, of course. I'm staying connected to my past clients, and then I'm meeting so many future clients and referral partners as a way of it. And I want you guys to do the same. I'm an open book with this. So if there's anything we can expand on in there, Gino, let me know. But please, guys, continue to drop questions.
Yeah, so I want to share my personal experience a little bit.
Yes,
So
please.
I'm an Instagram person as well.
Yes.
It's the one I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I have fun there. I learn there. I drive Sonia crazy. I send her everything. I'm like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And she said, I go, see, I was right. And she's like, I didn't say you're not right. I didn't say you're not right. I said you're annoying. I was like, oh, okay.
Can't fix
That's
that. Yeah.
and so, but the reason I love Instagram is because I feel safe there. And I think that's the reality of when people pick a social platform, you walk into a room that you feel safe in, right? If you don't feel safe in the room, what do? You leave, right? So there's a safety when you choose the platform that you're on. And then the reason I looked down at my phone for a second wasn't because it was ringing, it's because I wanted to know what my audience was. And so my audience is 1,500 people. And that may not seem like a lot to anybody.
A lot of people.
As long as they're people that like me, know me, and trust me, it's a lot of people.
That's right.
Because I spoke in front of 200 people yesterday that I know pretty well, and I felt really good about it. Maybe it was 150, whatever. And I'm speaking in front of 60 in San Diego on Sunday. And I feel good about that. But I have the opportunity right here to speak to 1,500 every day. Why wouldn't I? But share something of value. And what you mentioned was one of the things that we learned when Don and I hosted a radio show for the first 10 years was, and Craig Sewing taught us this, was you messaging. Speak to one. Okay, this is very important. Write this down. And when you're on your social media, speak to one. Don't say all of you out there. Don't say everyone. Don't say any of those things. Say, I want you to listen to me right now. Because there's only one person on the other side of that phone. There's not 100 people. You're not speaking to an audience. You're speaking to one human. So when you tailor your message, make sure you tailor your message to one.
Beautifully put. When we market to everyone, we connect with no one, right? So yeah, have to be very focused there and speak directly to them. That's how it should feel.
Right.
And that's part of the experience, right? You know, if they are on the other side of that and they feel like they're being directly talked to or that you are speaking to them, then they're gonna feel like you know them, you understand them, and why wouldn't they want to re-engage you? So yeah, very powerful.
So just so we touch on this so we don't forget, I sometimes feel like my most impactful things are not reels.
Hmm.
My most engaging things are stories. And I
Yes.
don't mean in the storytelling sense, but it's where I'm sharing my personal life, right? When I
Yeah.
evacuate for the fires, when I, like that's where people engage with me. So remember that reels are kind of things that you want to be everlasting because you want people to be able to validate who you are that don't know you. But stories is where the people that already know you engage with you. So just know that
Mhm.
difference when you're looking at Instagram is like reels is something that's like a billboard, it's like a little bit of an advertisement.
Yeah.
Stories where you really shine.
Yeah, I would say the litmus test for that, and you hit the nail on the head, with your personal examples there, is that if it's going to be relevant next week, it belongs in your feed. If it's a fleeting moment, which is what a lot of personal moments are, where you let people into your life, they belong in your stories. Now, there's a lot of business and market stuff that is happening in real time that also belongs in your stories, but it's changing so fast, so that's a great place for it. But if people are always like, where do I put the personal stuff versus the stuff that's of value to my audience and the people, that's kind of the easiest litmus test to dumb it down that I would tell you. If it's going to be relevant next week, it belongs in your feed. If it's not going to be relevant tomorrow, put it in your stories because it won't be there tomorrow. It's 24 hours, it expires. But that's where you really let people into your life because we are all a lot more interesting than what it is that we do for a living, right? I heard my brother say that, Neil, in a presentation one time. It was a few years ago. He says we're a lot more interesting than what we do for a living. Don't just, I mean, sure, you could talk to me about what's happening with mortgages and explaining tariffs to me, and that's important. But if that's all I ever hear from you, it's great, but I don't get to know you. I know Gino outside of the momentum builder community and how we met and basically became friends instantaneously. I felt like I'd known him my whole life because we connect on certain things because he's Argentinian and I love Argentina, having been there, and
Almost wore my jersey for you today.
I love it. Yeah, and I love it. And he introduced me to his dad, which was a very special moment. It was, of course, from there. But I, because we connected on Messi and Argentina soccer and the greatest World Cup final I ever saw just a few short years ago. We were talking back and forth because I know how important it was to him. I was so into it because the greatest memory I had of my grandfather while spending summers in India, we watched Diego Maradona in that what was that, 89? That World Cup?
86.
86.
A mano
86.
de Dios.
Yeah. I remember I still to this day remember it like yesterday, sitting with him on the couch at like some ungodly hour of the morning because he went to bed early. He says, I'll wake you up at 2 a.m. You can watch it with me because that's when it was coming on in India. We got up, it was all dark, we were watching it. It was an amazing memory. So to get to see them do it. But I know all this about Gino because this is what he actually shares. Is Argentina's World Cup footage or his love of Argentinian soccer needed in his feed? No, it's not. This is his personal life. This is where he lets me in, and this is where I get to know him, or the time that he spends with his kids, or his travels with his wife, his home in Cabo that he goes to that he's working on. Like I know all this. I'm able to recite it to you guys because I see him do it. So let people in a little bit. Gino's a lot more interesting than doing mortgages. I'll tell you that because I follow him and I know him, and he shares that. Everybody else should do the same thing, and you'll build your tribe this way better. The people that are into what you're into, they get more drawn into you, and if they don't like it, that's okay. It doesn't matter. But we've got to be a little bit more revealing than just talking about the market and tariffs and what's going on with rates.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Arjun. I think about, and there's things I want to talk about that are tactical, but then we're having such a great conversation. I'm like, I kind of don't even want to talk about those things. Um, because they're things that I think we put too much weight on, and I think the way we're talking right now is the way you should talk on your socials. So Alec Hansen was on just a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Something super impactful. He said, "Why do you act different on your socials than you act socially?" And I
So
was like,
true. That's very powerful.
"Second, tell me more about that, Alec." And he goes, "Would you ever walk into a mixer and if I said, 'Hey, Gino, meet Arjun,' would you ever say, 'I just closed a loan in 8 days'?" You would never do that.
No.
So don't do it online. Don't be disgusting. Don't be that person. Act socially on your socials.
Very true.
Like curiosity is a really cool thing. Like, what if you act curious on your socials? How do you do that? With a poll.
Mhm.
You ask people stuff, right? I posted a picture yesterday of my little caricature, my little figurine, right? And then today, Momentum Builder shared it. I don't know, Sonia, Katie, somebody shared it, and they're like, "Does this look like Dino?" Right? Curiosity. Curiosity is
Yeah.
fun. So utilize curiosity.
Yeah. I think the best advice I got on this a long time ago, and then I reshare it with everyone, is speak to a classroom and not a boardroom. So if you're ever like, when you watch yourself back, if there's something you shared or whatever, think about how would I talk in a boardroom? I'd probably be really stuffy. I'd probably wear a suit and I'd have a tie and it'd be squeezing my neck. So I'd be really upright. I'd use big words. I'd probably talk in this flat tone because I'm trying to be impressive, and I'd be really stiff and it wouldn't be me. But if you got invited to talk about the real estate market or to talk about tariffs to your fourth graders classroom on career day, how would you talk to those kids? You'd be expressive, you'd use your hands, you'd lean in, you'd smile, you'd be personable. You'd be personable, like Gino says, like how you would actually you'd be a lot more social instead of trying to be so informative, right? That's what you'd lean with. So show up as if you're speaking to a classroom and not a boardroom with this, and you'll find that it's more you, it'll come more natural, and you won't feel so exhausted at the end of doing it. You'll actually want to do more because you're just being natural, you're being you. And when you're doing that, it doesn't drain your energy. If anything, you start to feel more fulfilled and there's purpose attached to it, and it's coming off naturally.
Yeah, and when I was younger, it's really interesting. I thought so. I'm going to move into personality traits a little bit. When I was younger, I thought I had a much higher I on my disc profile. Well, I found out that I did have a very high I, but that I was insecurity.
Mm.
And so a lot of times when you're insecure, you want to please everyone.
Mhm.
Once you realize that it's okay to be yourself and you get older and you don't give a shit, that's when you find your people,
Yes.
right? That's when you find your tribe.
Yes.
People that really are attracted to who you really are and not the person you're trying to be. So I hate fake it till you make it. Like, I hate that saying. I think it's bullshit. Be who you are, or even better, here's the one, be who you want to be.
Yeah.
It's okay to take a step forward into the future, into who you want to be. I knew I wanted to be 100 pounds lighter. I had to make a lot of decisions. I had to make a lot of changes. I stepped into who I wanted to be. You can't fake being skinny. I wish you could. I would have done that for 30 years. You just gotta put less shit in your mouth. It's that simple. People ask, "Oh, how'd you do that?" I eat less. I drink less.
Yes, yeah.
I don't
Pretty
drink
simple.
alcohol. Yeah.
It's pretty
Uh,
simple.
but that's just think attract those people that are like you. So don't just be authentic. It's I know it's like played out. People say authenticity. It's not played out. It's just be you.
Just for you. Yeah.
Easy.
Very, very,
It's so
very
much
important.
easier to be you, by the way.
Say again.
It's so much easier to just be you.
Yeah, then to try to be someone else because you don't need a script. You just roll it off. Guys, what along those three, is there anything that I can expand on from community marketing, storytelling, and news hacking, tactically, or either examples that would be helpful to you? Just throw in the chat, please. Because again, this is all for you guys. We want to make sure that everybody gets something out of this and something they can implement today.
While we're waiting for somebody to do that, Kai says he sits on his car hood all the time, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and that reminds me, one of the events we were at with Renee Rodriguez, it was like day 3 of Momentum Builder 4 or something like that. And it was the crowd had thinned, or it was after lunch or something, but the crowd had thinned. And what did he do? He came down off stage and he sat on the edge of the stage and he said, "Everybody come close. Everybody join me." Right. And he made that classroom feeling you were talking about. He
Mm.
made it intimate. So intimacy is important too. So if you have community, intimacy, storytelling, those are all really, really good traits to connect with people.
Without a doubt.
Eric's
Yeah,
got a question there.
Renee's the master of that.
Yeah.
Okay, great question, Eric. How do I speak about the news, so like news hacking, without favoring one side or the other? It's you don't want to overthink it, Eric. On one end, you're just if you're news hacking and you're presenting, it's not that you're taking a side. And sometimes you need to disclaim that or disclose it, right? Guys, I'm not taking a side here. I'm just translating this for you, regardless of who you voted for, regardless of where you are on this issue, regardless of how you may feel about this or this person. Here's what this actually means for you. If you are putting it in the interest of the person on the other side, which is a consumer, a current homeowner, or an aspiring homeowner, which is basically who we're talking to, guys, or members of the real estate community, and you're translating it, then you don't have to worry about sides. You're just presenting it to them. So on the other side of that, Eric, though, if you do feel strongly about something and you don't have a problem, or you're comfortable with voicing, because some people are like, I want to actually take a side or say where I stand on this issue. Fine, stand for something. Don't play it safe by running down the middle. You don't stand out that way. You'll stand out for drawing a line in the sand and be like, I respect the other thing, but this is where I am. There's nothing wrong with that. So it may not be the best answer to your question, Eric, where I'm telling you, you can do whatever you want. If you want to stay out of it and not make everything so zero sum, this or that, black and white, red, blue, you know, Trump, Harris, whatever it is that people get so polarized by, you can just disclose that.
Yeah.
I'm
Or you
not.
could do cool like I would use. As a student of economics,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Mortgage
Disclose.
professional,
Disclose.
real
Yeah.
estate
Just
professional.
disclaim there. Yeah. Put the disclaimer out there
You could
and
do
just
that without
state
saying,
it.
without taking sides, because the reality is, let me tell you what hat I'm wearing when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause the truth of the matter is, like, when I look at it is like, and I fight with my kids all the time about this. We don't agree, and it's okay. We don't have to agree. Like, they're 13, 16, and 18, and I'm 47. Of course, we don't agree on some things,
Yeah.
right? And so, but I tell them, I said, look, if you're watching what's going on right now, and you addressed it perfectly, Arjun, this whole midterm election thing is real, right? It's real. Like everything that this administration needs to do, they have to do in 16 months.
That's exactly right.
18 maximum. 16 probably, because you become a lame duck those last few months. So the one thing that I'm watching that I respect, regardless of sides, is that they're doing what they said they would do
Yes.
during the political during the election campaign.
Yeah.
So as someone who's watched politicians of
Oh, yeah.
historically say some shit and then never do it.
You come from a country where that bait and switch is most as prevalent as anywhere in the world.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think it's fascinating. Again, as an economic student, I think it's fascinating to watch this.
It's a master class.
Yeah,
It's an absolute master class on what's going on, guys. That's what I'm saying. It's a great, fascinating time to be alive. It's a fascinating time to be in our industry. Like, really, really is. Some people are like, how could you say that this rate? That's because my business in life doesn't revolve around the rates, and neither should yours. My business revolves around how many problems can I actually solve today? How many solutions can I bring to the marketplace? How many people can I keep calm? If I do that, the business will come. Because at the end of the day, guys, when we take a step back and recognize housing is going nowhere, shelter never goes out of style. People will always need money, and we happen to sell money. Yes, the price of money goes up and down, but we are in this place where we have what everyone is always going to need. They may not want it right now, their life might dictate otherwise and say you got to want it now because you're getting divorced or you got a job or you need to relocate or whatever, you're starting a family. So it never goes out of style. We are in a very, very unique position. So when you take a step back and do that, then it makes things a little bit easier and it removes the pressure. um, Eric, you said thank you. So many people want to fight about topics. They do. Look, it's a very triggered space. Like if you are ever questioning civility in human beings, just go on X and just see the filth and vitriol and just nastiness that people lash out with stuff there. I feel like it's going to end up turning into a therapy platform. That's where people just dump all their stuff, but you just feel your blood pressure go up reading it. I go on there to because there's a lot of news figures and media people that I follow on X, and that's where I get information from rather than trying to search it on the internet. I'll get stuff there, but when I look at comments and what people post, it's nasty. So people want to do it. We are also now, sadly, as a society, triggered to have a hard line stance on something. Everything has become zero sum. The gray area ceases to exist, right? You're either here or you're there. And if
but
you're
I don't
here,
think we have time to dig into this too much. But there's this whole thing. Just go down the rabbit hole and read about confirmation bias.
yes,
You start
that's
to read about the psychology of confirmation bias. Forget it. You're never going to change someone's mind.
you're not. If
We
their
both
mind's made
we're
up,
both
if their mind's
watching.
made up,
We could both be looking at this thing, and I could tell you that it's a cover for a microphone so that it makes my voice different and so that I don't yell into the microphone and spike it. And you could be like, no, it's not. That's not what it is. I seen what it is
no.
before. It's a mushroom. And I'd be like, no, it's not. It's not a mushroom. But two people could see the same thing because the only thing that your eyes do is let light into your brain. Your brain tells you what you saw.
That's it. The brain's gonna make the decision. So just like right now, right? If you think these tariffs are working
Like a
in a
mushroom.
global reset, then you'll be. What say that again, Gino?
At the magic mushroom button. I didn't know we had that in Zoom.
Oh
There
no,
it is.
that's pretty cool. You I didn't realize that either. That was well timed. So if
Yeah.
you believe that these tariffs are effective in what's going on, what you read and what you see in your brain will lead you to have that bias that it does. If you think that these things are going to be the end of human existence and that they're going to sink us into an economic abyss, then there's enough information and data out there to confirm that feeling as well. The market is how we choose to see it, whether it's a good market, bad market, or an opportunity one. But I think all of us are going to exude the way we feel about it because of the position that we're in to influence and help this marketplace out. So you better get yourself right first and foremost on where you stand with things, regardless of where you are. Just be very much both feet on the ground, confirmed in where you are, because that's what you're going to exude and what you talk about naturally. And you don't, it's not that it's not about sides or pissing the other side off or anything like that, you know. And again, Eric, you're right. People are just going to be triggered by simple things, but it's also a massive opportunity, you know, like I said at the onset of this, to be able to put information out if you want to stand for something or take a stand on something without trying to be offensive, because there are ways to do that. Absolutely. You don't have to be offensive and take a stand. You can do those two things can be independent of each other. There are people who don't take a stand that are offensive simply by their energy or just by showing up. And there's other people who can take stands or have a hard line stance on something and not be offensive. They're just presenting because they're doing it in a respectful way. You'll find your cadence with this, guys. All of this takes reps. It takes practice, because with that, you'll get competence, and with competence, you'll have confidence. It works its way up. Everyone wants to be confident with everything they're doing in these three things of news hacking, community marketing, and storytelling. I just want to be confident as a public speaker. I want to be confident as this. I want to be confident as a loan originator. You need reps, just like everything else. We need reps, right? So reps, competence,
Do
confidence.
this all day, Arjun. You and I could do this for hours and have the best time ever. And but we are out of time, and we try to respect everybody's time. Follow Arjun's pages. Sonia just put them up there for us. Thank you guys for being with us today. This is our community. Join us at Sales Mastery. Spend some time with us. Hang out with us. Some of the best friends I've ever made in my life at our events like this. Next week, you saw Kai that was in the chat room. One of our good friends is going to be on next week with us. And then Justin, which I don't know, is going to be on the week that follows. So I'm excited to hear him, a new member to our community. And of course, Arjun will be there. Heck yeah. Yeah. So join us there. Remember, Sales Mastery is not an event, it's where our community gathers. All right, my brother. Thank you very much.